Pick a color and unlock the secrets of your soul. Colors are the smiles of nature, wrote Leigh Hunt. But in the language of Carl Jung, colors are far more than beauty. They are mirrors of the soul. Each hue carries the vibration of a hidden emotion, an archetype, a truth your conscious mind has long forgotten, but your spirit still remembers. So today, as you take this psychological test, don't just pick a color feel, which one calls to you. Your choice will reveal more than you expect about your energy, your inner world, and your path towards spiritual awakening. Which color do you feel drawn to right now? And what does it whisper to your soul? Share your answer in the comments below, and let's explore together what your color reveals about the depths of who you truly are. 1. Purple, the visionary soul. Purple is the color of the visionary soul, those who carry within them the essence of mystery, wisdom, and spirituality. You are not just a thinker, but a seeker, drawn to what lies beneath the surface of life. There is a quiet storm within you, a constant search for truth and meaning that cannot be silenced. While others chase noise and distraction, you crave depth, stillness, and understanding. People feel something profound in your presence, a calm intensity that speaks louder than words. They may not always understand you, but they are moved by the quiet strength and soulful awareness that radiate from you. You live with a rare sensitivity, seeing patterns and possibilities that others overlook. And it's this vision that makes you both mysterious and magnetic. Your mind is creative and intuitive, filled with images and ideas that bridge the spiritual and material worlds. You perceive life through symbols, energies, and emotions rather than logic alone, which allows you to transform experiences into insight. You absorb more than most, sense emotions unspoken, and carry wisdom that others are not yet ready to hear. But this depth is not your curse, it is your calling. You are meant to see the unseen, to translate chaos into clarity, and to help others awaken to the truth within themselves. This is the path of the visionary, to move through solitude and emerge with light that guides others home. Though often misunderstood, you know that your uniqueness is your strength. You are not here to conform, but to transform, to serve as a bridge between the seen and unseen worlds. In moments of silence, you touch something infinite, the voice of higher consciousness whispering through intuition. You find meaning in coincidences, messages in dreams, and lessons in every emotional rise and fall. Each experience shapes your spiritual awakening, teaching you how to turn darkness into understanding and pain into wisdom. Like an alchemist of the soul, you do not escape life's challenges. You transmute them into spiritual gold. And through your journey, you embody what Carl Jung called the process of individuation, where the self becomes whole by integrating both the shadow and the light. Those who are drawn to purple walk the path of inner transformation. You are guided by knowing that life is not random but symbolic, that every event, every feeling, every person you meet is part of your awakening. You are here to remind the world that true power is silent, that wisdom is born from stillness, and that spirituality is not an escape from reality, but a deeper way of living within it. Your presence is a mirror for others to see what they have forgotten within themselves. And as you continue to awaken, you become both student and teacher of the unseen, carrying within you the timeless truth that the soul's greatest journey is always inward. Comment below, "I awaken my visionary soul," if you're ready to embrace your true spiritual power and unlock the deeper wisdom within you. 2. Blue, the peacemaker. Blue represents calm, clarity, and honesty, the sacred trinity of a peaceful soul who values harmony not as an escape from conflict, but as a state of truth. If you are drawn to blue, it reveals that you are guided by authenticity and emotional depth. You sense energy beyond words. You read silence like a language, and you feel safest when the world around you reflects sincerity. Your loyalty and trustworthiness make you a rare constant in an unstable world. People sense your grounded energy and find comfort in your presence because your calm is contagious. You are a healer without trying to be one, a stabilizer in moments of chaos. Yet your greatest challenge is to remember that peace without truth is only suppression disguised as harmony. Never silence your heart just to keep others comfortable. Your voice, your feelings, and your needs matter. They are not disruptions, but instruments in the symphony of real balance. You live through spirituality as a quiet devotion, not through rituals of grandeur, but through presence, how you listen deeply, breathe before reacting, and choose compassion when anger feels easier. Every time you choose truth over avoidance, you elevate your spiritual growth. Calmness is not about avoiding storms. It's about carrying inner stillness through them. So when tension rises, let your clarity lead. Speak gently but firmly. Allow silence to reveal truth. And remind yourself that gentleness is not weakness. It is conscious strength. In relationships, your empathy becomes a bridge between hearts. But be mindful that the same sensitivity that heals others can harm you if you give too much. Balance compassion with self-care. Ask yourself, am I giving from overflow or depletion? True harmony begins when you extend to yourself the same understanding you offer everyone else. At work and in daily life, your steadiness makes you a reliable anchor. You bring reason to confusion and calm to urgency. But do not let your kindness turn into compliance. Your peace has power only when it's rooted in self-respect. Say no when your energy feels drained. Speak truth even when it trembles in your throat, because every honest word strengthens your spirit. Blue souls are meant to express clarity, not to dissolve into the expectations of others. When you start honoring your truth, you'll notice how your presence transforms the energy of a room. People breathe easier around you, not because you absorb their pain, but because you radiate stability born of authenticity. Remember, real harmony is not the absence of noise, but the alignment of truth within it. Keep choosing clarity, kindness, and courage. Through every breath, every pause, every act of integrity, your spirituality deepens and your spiritual growth unfolds, proving that calm is not the opposite of strength. It is strength refined by wisdom. If you feel this message resonates with your soul, then it was meant for you. Repeat after me. I am at peace with myself and the world around me. I choose harmony, healing, and inner calm today. 3. Red, the warrior. Red is the color of raw passion, unshakable vitality, and fierce courage, the eternal fire that burns within the soul of the warrior. If this color speaks to you, it reveals a spirit that refuses to live halfway, a being who moves through life with intensity, emotion, and fearless purpose. You don't just exist, you blaze. You are the kind of person who feels everything deeply, who acts boldly, and who turns even pain into fuel for transformation. Like Carl Jung taught through his understanding of archetypes, This color mirrors the part of you that dares to face life directly, transforming instinct into creation and chaos into strength. There's a pulse within you that others can feel, a magnetic field of vitality that draws people in, not because you ask for attention, but because your very presence radiates movement, energy, and direction. You are a natural leader, someone who thrives in action, who finds peace not in stillness, but in momentum, and who finds meaning through courage. But with every flame comes a lesson. Spiritual wisdom reminds us that the same fire that gives life can also consume it if left untamed. Your greatest challenge is not how brightly you burn, but how steadily you hold your flame. Patience is not your first instinct. It feels like a cage when your soul craves battle, but true mastery begins when you learn to pause before you strike, to breathe before you decide. You are not here just to act. You are here to act with purpose. The warrior's path is not about endless conquest, but conscious control, transforming impulse into direction and emotion into wisdom. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." For you, this means learning to see the deeper motives behind your desires, to understand that power without awareness becomes destruction. But power guided by mindfulness becomes creation. When you channel your intensity into balance, something extraordinary happens. Your courage no longer shouts. It radiates quietly, confidently, like a steady flame, lighting the path for others. You begin to understand that not every battle needs to be fought, and not every mountain needs to be conquered. Some wars are won through silence, through restraint, through the ability to hold your ground without needing to prove it. Your true strength lies not in how loudly you fight, but in how calmly you stand. The color red calls you to become the master of your own energy, to use your passion not just to break through walls, but to build new worlds. When you merge your fire with awareness, your action with mindfulness, you no longer burn, you illuminate. That is the essence of spiritual wisdom through Carl Jung's eyes. Transformation through conscious choice. The moment you learn to balance your inner flame, you stop being just a warrior of the world and become a warrior of the soul, fierce, patient, and free. Leave your like and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom for more powerful insights like this. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss your next moment of awakening. Comment below, "I am the warrior of my destiny," if you're ready to embrace your inner strength and live with fearless purpose. 4. Yellow, the optimist. Yellow speaks to the soul of the eternal optimist, the man whose very presence feels like sunlight breaking through a long and silent storm. It embodies light, joy, and curiosity, the trinity of energies that define your spirit. When your heart aligns with this color, you radiate a quiet strength that uplifts others, not through loudness or control, but through the calm certainty that everything unfolds for a reason. There's something magnetic about your positivity because it's not naive, it's chosen. You've known pain, disappointment, and loss, yet you've refused to let them harden your heart. You've turned every setback into a seed of wisdom, allowing life to polish you rather than break you. In the language of spirituality and spiritual awakening, yellow reflects the awakened state of consciousness that refuses to surrender its light, even when surrounded by shadow. Your warmth inspires people without effort because your energy carries truth. You are a dreamer who acts, guided by intuition, and fueled by curiosity, always searching for new experiences that stretch your mind and awaken your spirit. You don't chase success for validation, you pursue it as an expression of your inner expansion. The optimism you carry is a sacred act of rebellion in a world that often glorifies bitterness. As Carl Jung once said, even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness, and the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. You understand this balance deeply, which is why your light feels so authentic. It's born from integration, not denial. Your laughter has depth because it has known silence, and your kindness carries weight because it has been shaped by understanding. But within your brightness lies a gentle warning. The fire that warms others can consume itself if it never rests. You give endlessly your time, your energy, your compassion, sometimes forgetting that even the sun must set to rise again. The spiritual wisdom you are called to embody is not only about shining, but also about surrendering to stillness. Rest is not weakness. It is the secret rhythm of endurance. When you allow yourself moments of solitude and quiet reflection, you return to your center, to the core of peace that no chaos can touch. This is the deeper layer of spiritual awakening, where light is not just projected outward, but rooted within. It's the art of remaining radiant without exhaustion, joyful without illusion, and hopeful without dependence. And so, your journey with yellow is both a celebration and a reminder to nurture your light with gentleness, to let silence renew your spirit, and to continue walking through life not as someone who avoids the darkness, but as one who has mastered how to glow within it. Do you feel this message resonating with your soul? If you do, speak it with faith in the comments. I carry the light of optimism within me, and I trust my path. 5. Jungian, meaning and self-awareness. Colors are more than what your eyes perceive. They are energetic bridges between your conscious and unconscious mind, connecting visible reality with the hidden depths of your inner world. Carl Jung believed that each color you're drawn to acts as a mirror, revealing the archetype that lives within you, your emotions, your instincts, and your unspoken desires. Every shade you feel attracted to is not random. It's your soul communicating in a language older than words. In spirituality, colors carry frequencies that influence how you think, feel, and move through the world. When you are drawn to red, your inner fire seeks expression through passion, power, and bold action. When you gravitate toward blue, your spirit craves calmness, truth, and clarity. Yellow awakens the light of intellect and optimism, while purple opens portals to intuition and higher wisdom. Your relationship with color becomes an intimate reflection of your current emotional state and spiritual growth. As you begin to notice these subtle signals, you awaken a deeper self-awareness that aligns your outer environment with your inner reality. The colors you choose to wear, the tones that surround your home, and even the shades you feel most at peace with all are extensions of your evolving energy. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Recognizing the meaning behind your color attraction helps you reclaim that power. You begin to live more deliberately, shaping your energy instead of being shaped by it. When your chosen colors harmonize with your emotional needs, your world begins to flow with balance, focus, and renewed vitality. It's not simply aesthetics, it's energetic alignment a subtle form of inner healing. Over time, as you continue your journey of self-discovery, your preferred colors will change, just as you do. A person once drawn to darker, grounding tones might now feel called toward lighter, softer hues that express freedom and peace. These shifts are not superficial. They reflect transformation from within. Each new shade marks the unveiling of a new self, a new vibration, a new stage of your spiritual evolution. Your color story becomes a living testament to your awakening, proof that your soul never stops expanding or learning. The more aware you become of this connection, the more you realize that color is not just visual, it's vibrational, emotional, and deeply spiritual. It reveals what words cannot, the secret dialogue between your mind and your spirit, the ongoing unfolding of who you truly are. Each color you're drawn to is a mirror of your soul, a reflection of your emotions, your energy, and your inner truth. As Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." So take this moment of discovery beyond the screen. Notice the colors that surround you every day in your home, your clothes, even in nature, and see how they influence your thoughts, your moods, and your growth. Which color spoke to your heart today? Purple, blue, red, or yellow? Comment below and share what it revealed about you. Your answer might inspire someone else to look deeper within. If you found this journey meaningful, remember to like, subscribe, and join our growing community here on Spiritual Wisdom, where every story, every symbol, and every color brings you closer to the light within. 12 signs only women with mature souls can do. As Carl Jung once said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. In today's video on Spiritual Wisdom, we will uncover the 12 powerful signs that only women with mature souls embody, signs that reflect depth, resilience, and wisdom far beyond appearances. These principles are not just observations. They are living truths you can apply in your own journey to grow, transform, and find greater happiness. As you listen, think about which of these signs resonate with you. Have you experienced them in your own life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your story, because every reflection adds to our collective wisdom. 1. Unquenchable search for meaning. She cannot be satisfied with material comfort alone, because her soul is wired for something far deeper than possessions, status, or fleeting pleasures. There is within her an unquenchable hunger for truth, a fire that never goes out, and it pushes her to seek meaning in every corner of existence. Spirituality is not a decoration in her life, but the very foundation of her being. And through this endless journey, she experiences what many call a spiritual awakening. Her heart is not stirred by luxury or shallow pursuits. Instead, she finds herself restless in places without depth, yearning for conversations that touch eternity and choices that align with her higher calling. This longing is not born of dissatisfaction, but of recognition. Recognition that life is more than survival and success, that beneath the noise of daily life lies a mystery too profound to be ignored. For this reason, she often walks a path that feels different from others. While many chase comfort, she pursues understanding. While others fill their days with distraction, she carves out time for silence, meditation, and reflection, knowing that wisdom cannot be found in endless noise, but only in stillness. She turns to the words of thinkers like Carl Jung, and poets like Rumi, not for intellectual show, but because they echo the truths she feels in her own spirit. She understands that the body will wither, wealth will fade, but the soul continues to evolve, and this awareness shapes every decision she makes. When she speaks, her words carry weight, not because they are rehearsed, but because they flow from a place of lived experience, of having asked and wrestled with questions that many avoid. Her search for meaning gives her a radiance no cosmetic can create, a light that shines through her eyes and infuses her presence with an undeniable energy. Men who encounter her often feel both inspired and unsettled, because she does not allow them to remain on the surface. To know her is to be challenged to look inward, to face one's own unanswered questions, to confront the gap between outer success and inner fulfillment. This is why she is unforgettable. She becomes a mirror that reflects not only who you are, but who you might become. She shows that life is not a straight line of achievement, but a spiral of awakening, and those who walk beside her are often pulled into that spiral, compelled to grow, to awaken, to search for their own meaning. Her mature soul carries echoes of many lifetimes, wisdom woven through joys and wounds, victories and losses. That is why she is never afraid of the shadows within herself, for she knows even darkness holds lessons. The unquenchable search for meaning transforms her restlessness into a compass, guiding her toward experiences that elevate not only her, but those around her. She becomes a living example of Jung's insight that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, because her life is a testimony that becoming is not an endpoint, but a sacred journey. And as she continues to seek, she invites others to awaken alongside her, reminding them that true youth, vitality, and beauty are not sustained by resisting time, but by aligning with the eternal flow of the Spirit. Are you ready to embrace the unquenchable search for meaning? If so, comment below, "I choose wisdom," to show your commitment to this powerful journey. 2. Mysterious connection to certain places or times. There are women whose souls are so mature that when they enter a certain place or encounter a tradition, a culture, or even a landscape, they feel an unexplainable recognition rising from within, as though some forgotten part of themselves has returned home. It is not simply nostalgia or imagination, but rather the timeless journey of the soul revealing itself in subtle whispers. Carl Jung, the great psychologist of the unconscious, spoke of how the soul carries the accumulated wisdom of the collective unconscious, holding memories and impressions that extend far beyond the limits of one single life. When such a woman finds herself standing before an ancient temple, walking down the narrow streets of a foreign city, or hearing a melody in a language she does not understand, she does not feel like a stranger. Instead, something deep inside her stirs, a feeling of belonging, of remembering, of knowing without explanation. This is the mark of a mature soul. To experience the present moment not as an isolated event, but as part of a continuum that stretches through unseen time and space. You can imagine how powerful this is. Perhaps she stands at the base of a mountain she has never climbed, yet feels its strength resonate within her own bones. Perhaps she sees a ritual in a faraway land and senses that its rhythm is already inscribed in her heart. These moments are not random. They are signs that her soul has touched these places before, or that it carries within it echoes of lives lived and wisdom gained. This spiritual wisdom is what sets her apart from the ordinary. While most people only see the surface of a landscape or the novelty of a culture, she perceives something sacred woven through it all. As Carl Jung wrote, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." The mature soul awakens precisely because she listens to these signals instead of dismissing them. She honors them as guidance, as reminders that her life is part of a greater whole. Modern society often demands logic, proof, and measurable reasons for every feeling. Yet the woman with a mature soul knows that the deepest truths cannot be reduced to numbers or explained away by science. She recognizes that her mysterious pull towards certain times and places is not an illusion, but a gift. It is her soul whispering that life is more than linear progress, more than the clock and the calendar. This is what we call a true spiritual awakening. The moment when you stand beside a river you have never seen before and feel as though its waters once carried your reflection, or when you hear the chants of a tradition you have never practiced, yet somehow feel your spirit rise with every note. These are not accidents. They are reminders of the eternal memory the soul carries. Such recognition is not only beautiful, but also transformative. For a woman with a mature soul, it becomes a compass that shapes her choices, her relationships, and her destiny. She cannot ignore the feeling because it is part of who she is. She walks through life not as a passive traveler, but as a guardian of hidden wisdom, carrying the stories of many ages within her. When you meet her, you will sense that she is both ancient and new, grounded yet limitless, and in her presence, something in your own soul may awaken too. You might feel a stirring, a quiet reminder that you are also part of this cosmic story. The poet Rumi once said, "Don't get lost in your pain. Know that one day your pain will become your cure." The woman with a mature soul understands this not because she has read it, but because she has lived it across time. Her mysterious connection to places, traditions, and moments is not bound by logic, but by the eternal thread of memory and spirit. She is not limited to the body she wears or the age she carries. She is living proof that the soul dances across centuries and that its wisdom reveals itself in the most ordinary yet extraordinary encounters. This is the essence of spiritual wisdom, the kind that Carl Jung devoted his life to exploring, reminding us that the soul is vast, timeless, and always ready to awaken in the places where we least expect it. 3. Deep compassion and empathy. A woman with a mature soul carries within her a well of deep compassion and empathy that flows effortlessly, not from obligation, but from her natural awareness of human interconnectedness. Carl Jung spoke of the collective unconscious, a shared reservoir of memory and experience that binds us all. And in her presence, you feel this truth come alive. She feels another's suffering as if it were her own, not because she tries, but because her heart is finely tuned to the subtle vibrations of human emotion. When someone near her is hurting, she does not need words to know it. She senses the weight in their silence, the tremor in their voice, the heaviness behind their smile, and she responds not with pity, but with genuine understanding. Her empathy is not something learned or practiced. It is the essence of her being, a sign of spirituality and spiritual growth that transcends the surface-level kindness often performed in society. In the noise of modern life, where people are buried under work, distracted by screens and disconnected from one another, such a woman shines like a rare light. She is the friend who checks on you without being asked, the co-worker who notices your unspoken struggles, or the stranger who offers warmth when the world seems cold. Thoreau once said, "Could a greater miracle take place than for us to look through each other's eyes for an instant?" And a woman with a mature soul lives in that miracle daily. Her compassion stretches beyond her circle. She feels the pain of the world, whether it is the grief of a stranger, the injustice of society, or the suffering of the earth itself. She does not turn away from these burdens, but carries them with grace, transforming sorrow into action, showing through her presence that true love is not in words, but in deeds. This depth of empathy, however, is not without cost. To feel so deeply is to carry the risk of exhaustion, and women with mature souls often know the weight of compassion fatigue. Yet, rather than harden their hearts, they choose a different path. They learn balance. They rest when needed, nurture their inner world, and practice self-care, understanding that even the strongest flame must be tended, or it will burn out. In doing so, they teach us that compassion is not endless sacrifice, but wise giving, that the power to heal others must be paired with the wisdom to protect one's own spirit. Her spirituality is lived, not spoken. She reminds us that to truly grow is to embrace both tenderness and strength, to feel deeply without drowning, and to offer love without losing oneself. Sensitivity is not weakness, but sacred power. In a culture that glorifies hardness and detachment, she shows that the ability to feel, to care, and to empathize is the greatest force for transformation. When you meet such a woman, honor her presence, for she embodies the spiritual wisdom that Carl Jung believed could illuminate the hidden truths of our shared humanity. Her life is a quiet lesson. Let compassion guide your steps. Let empathy be your bridge to others, and let your spirituality lead you into growth, healing, and love not only for the world, but also for your own soul. If this message about deep compassion and empathy resonates with you, comment below, "I agree." If you see it differently, share your perspective with, "I don't think so." Let's start a meaningful conversation together. 4. Inner calm in chaos. In moments of crisis, when the world seems to collapse into noise and confusion, she does not lose herself in fear or rush to control what cannot be controlled, for her spirit has been tempered by both light and shadow, teaching her that storms are not meant to break us, but to awaken something deeper within. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And she embodies this privilege fully, for she has journeyed through suffering, heartbreak, and disappointment. Yet instead of letting bitterness shape her, she chose understanding, integration, and trust in life's greater rhythm. Her calm is not a mask she wears to hide her feelings, but a strength born from the quiet knowledge that chaos too has meaning. And it is this unshakable rootedness that sets her apart. When panic fills a room, her presence alone steadies others without words, reminding them that peace is still possible, and in her balance, they find the courage to breathe again. This is not passivity, but an active choice to remain grounded, an energy that transforms fear into trust, uncertainty into clarity. She carries within her the wisdom of the collective unconscious, what Jung described as the timeless memory of the human soul. And this wisdom speaks through her silence more powerfully than speeches ever could. Her calm does not mean she has avoided life's struggles. It means she has embraced them and emerged with grace, refusing to let her wounds define her. She knows the weight of loss and the sting of betrayal, yet she has chosen forgiveness over bitterness, patience over reaction, presence over distraction. That is why, when she stands in the middle of chaos, she is not shaken, because she has already walked through inner storms that most never dare to face. In a modern world obsessed with noise, speed, and shallow solutions, her stillness becomes magnetic, drawing others toward her like thirsty souls drawn to water. Picture a workplace erupting with fear of collapse, or a family torn apart by conflict. She enters not with force, but with presence, and her stability becomes the hidden anchor that holds everyone together. This is the rare beauty of a mature soul. She does not just calm herself, she restores balance to others, becoming proof that true strength is quiet, resilient, and deeply spiritual. Men who encounter her recognize, often without knowing why, that this quality is not common. It is the mark of someone who is awakened, who has chosen to live with depth rather than distraction. And in witnessing her, they too are reminded that real maturity is not about age or control, but about cultivating the courage to remain steady when everything else falls apart. 5. Visionary foresight. A woman with a mature soul carries within her a rare gift that Carl Jung would describe as a reflection of the collective unconscious. And one of the most powerful signs of this is her visionary foresight. She can sense cultural, spiritual, and collective shifts long before they become visible to the rest of the world, as if her inner compass is tuned to the deeper rhythms of life that others cannot hear. While most people only recognize change once it arrives and disrupts their reality, she feels the whispers of transformation in her intuition, like an underground current moving silently before it breaks the surface. This makes her ahead of her time, but also misunderstood, or even isolated, because people around her cannot yet grasp what she already knows in her heart. She learns to carry this solitude with grace, because she understands that truth often appears as a stranger before it becomes common wisdom. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." This captures the essence of her foresight, for she does not rely on the fleeting noise of the external world, but listens to the quiet voice within. By turning inward, she awakens to patterns, cycles, and hidden meanings that most overlook. And this spiritual wisdom gives her the ability to perceive what is about to unfold. She might feel the growing hunger for authenticity when society is still intoxicated by illusions. Or she may notice a return to simplicity while the world is still caught in excess. To others, her insights may sound like warnings or even strange prophecies, but as time passes, they prove to be true. This foresight is not about fortune-telling, but about perceiving the subtle undercurrents of human energy, culture, and consciousness. She feels them before they crystallize into reality. And this is why women with mature souls are often drawn to spirituality and spiritual awakening. They understand that the external world is only a reflection of the inner one, and that collective change begins in the invisible space of thought, feeling, and intention. Such awareness often places them in the role of guides, healers, or teachers, even if they never consciously sought that path, because people naturally turn to those who can see further than the horizon. Yet this gift does not come without its burdens. To be in a room where everyone is celebrating what you already know is fading, or to warn of a coming storm when others see only blue skies, is to carry the weight of loneliness. But solitude teaches her strength, and isolation becomes a sanctuary where she learns to trust her inner knowing. Rumi expressed it beautifully. Try to accept the changing seasons of your soul, even if you have never walked this way before. In this acceptance lies her power, for she understands that foresight is not a curse, but a sacred responsibility, a call to honor what she perceives even if others are not ready. Over time, this visionary quality makes her magnetic, even to those who cannot explain why they are drawn to her. People feel that she carries a truth larger than herself, a wisdom that transcends time and circumstance, and they sense that her presence itself is a reminder of something eternal. She becomes a beacon for those beginning to awaken, a gentle but firm light that guides others to see beyond appearances. Her ability to embody both patience and conviction allows her to stand in her truth without demanding that others follow, because she knows the time will eventually reveal what her soul already saw. To be such a woman is to live in the paradox of both pain and beauty, carrying the loneliness of being misunderstood, yet the quiet joy of knowing she is connected to something far greater than herself. This is the mark of a mature soul. She does not merely witness history, she feels it in her bones before it arrives, and in carrying this foresight, she becomes a living testament to Carl Jung's insight that those who awaken to the unconscious do not do so for themselves alone, but for the collective. If you believe that visionary foresight is a gift of the mature soul, show your support by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing your insights in the comments below. Let's grow in wisdom together. 6. Need for solitude. When a woman with a mature soul seeks solitude, it is not because she rejects the world or distances herself from people, but because she understands that her inner world must be nourished with the same devotion that her outer life requires. Solitude becomes her sacred ritual, a sanctuary where she reconnects with her essence and allows her spirit to breathe. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." And for women walking the path of spirituality and spiritual growth, solitude is not loneliness, it is awakening. Think of a modern woman balancing work, family, and countless obligations. Her phone never stops buzzing. Colleagues look to her for guidance, and loved ones rely on her strength. Yet within all this noise, she feels a profound pull to step back, to retreat into silence for a while. Maybe she takes a quiet walk under the trees, writes in her journal at a cafe, or simply sits by her window, watching the evening sky. These are not moments of escape, but moments of return to herself, to her soul, to the deep well of wisdom within. Society may pressure her to always be available and endlessly productive, but she knows that her truest productivity, her clearest insights, and her deepest love flow only from stillness. Without these sacred pauses, she risks becoming drained and detached from her essence. When you meet such a woman, you can sense the difference immediately. Her calm presence radiates a quiet strength. Her words carry weight, and her eyes reflect a depth that only solitude can give. This practice is not new. Great visionaries, mystics, and artists throughout history, Rumi, Thoreau, Jung himself, understood solitude as the birthplace of wisdom and creativity. Women with mature souls mirror this timeless truth in their everyday lives. They may decline an invitation not from indifference, but from reverence for their inner sanctuary. And when they re-emerge, they do so renewed, carrying light, healing, and inspiration for those around them. In a world addicted to noise, choosing solitude can look unusual, but it is an act of profound courage. It takes strength to listen to the quiet voice of the soul over the clamor of the crowd. If you, too, feel this need for sacred alone time, honor it without guilt. Solitude is not selfish. It is soul care. Protect your inner space the way you protect your home, and you will discover that far from isolating you, it expands your capacity to love, to create, and to serve with authenticity. The truth is simple yet powerful. Your moments of solitude are not empty. They are fertile ground where your spirituality takes root and your spiritual growth blossoms. From this space of silence and renewal, you rise stronger, clearer, and more deeply connected to the life you were always meant to live. 7. Detachment from materialism. A woman with a mature soul carries within her a kind of wealth that no possession can rival, because she has long discovered that happiness does not come from what you own, but from who you are. While the world runs after shiny objects, chasing promotions, cars, or luxury brands as proof of success, she stands apart with quiet confidence, knowing that these things can never touch the depth of her being. She may admire beauty, but she does not cling to it, for her heart is not captured by labels or price tags. Her joy rests in simplicity, in living authentically, and in the silent growth of her spirit, because she understands that real abundance is measured not by what fills her home, but by what fills her soul. Her detachment from materialism does not mean she rejects comfort or beauty. Rather, she does not confuse them with meaning. Carl Jung reminded us that individuation is the path of becoming our true selves beyond society's masks, and she embodies that wisdom. She knows money may buy a softer bed, but it cannot buy peaceful sleep. It may open doors of recognition, but it cannot give respect. It may decorate her surroundings, but it cannot decorate her heart. While others may live enslaved by possessions, she moves freely, her worth glowing from within like a steady flame that needs no fuel from the outside world. In today's culture, where social media parades endless images of luxury vacations, expensive gadgets, and carefully curated lifestyles, many lose themselves chasing illusions. Yet a woman with a mature soul sees through this game. She is not impressed by excess, because she knows that behind the curtain of materialism lies emptiness. If you were to walk beside her through a grand store, you would notice that her sense of joy does not rise or fall with the items on display. She may smile, she may admire, but she remains whole with or without them. This detachment makes her magnetic, because people sense in her a freedom they themselves long for but cannot name. Men especially may find her both challenging and inspiring, for she reminds them that chasing status or possessions will never bring the satisfaction they seek. Her presence is like a mirror reflecting back your own restless desires, urging you to consider what really matters. She does not preach, but her life quietly teaches that less is often more, that stillness is stronger than noise, and that the richest treasure lies not in possessions, but in the unfolding of the soul. Her strength lies not in denial, but in choice, not in poverty, but in perspective. She chooses growth over greed, truth over appearances, and meaning over status. Her detachment is her sovereignty, and it allows her to walk in the world without being consumed by it. In her presence, you feel the possibility of your own spiritual awakening, as if her freedom could awaken a freedom in you too. She is proof that material things fade, but the maturity of the soul endures, and she invites you without words, but with her very being, to step into that same truth. If this truth about detachment from materialism resonates with your soul, declare it in the comments. I value wisdom over wealth, and my spirit is free. 8. Affinity with children and elders. A woman with a mature soul carries within her an extraordinary gift that reveals itself in the way she effortlessly bonds with both children and elders, for she sees purity and truth in the young and wisdom in the old. Carl Jung, whose spiritual wisdom continues to guide seekers, once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And such a woman lives this truth by moving gracefully between innocence and experience. When she kneels to listen to a child, she does not dismiss their playful stories as meaningless chatter, but instead she honors their imagination as a reflection of an uncorrupted soul still connected to the essence of life. When she sits with an elder, she does not grow impatient with their repetitions or silence, but rather treats each memory as a sacred pearl of wisdom, honoring their journey and the lessons only time can give. This unique ability to embrace both ends of life's spectrum shows that she understands something most overlooked, that the soul speaks through every stage of life, and that both the beginning and the nearing completion of the journey hold truths that the busy middle years often miss. Her presence with children makes them feel seen, understood, and safe, as if she recognizes the eternal light within them, while elders feel a profound respect from her that goes beyond social courtesy, for she acknowledges the weight of their lived experience and the wisdom carved by struggle and endurance. Such a connection is not mere kindness, it is spiritual awakening in motion, because she sees through the illusion of time and recognizes that the soul exists beyond age, carrying both innocence and depth within. Her affinity with children and elders is a reflection of her humility and authenticity, for she does not seek relationships based on power, status, or convenience, but is drawn instead to what is raw, true, and enduring. In children, she finds honesty without masks, and in elders, she finds stories that are mirrors of resilience and grace. Carl Jung believed in the collective unconscious, a timeless well of memory and wisdom, and this explains why a mature soul can move seamlessly between generations, bridging gaps that others cannot. Through her, we are reminded that the soul is not bound by years, but is eternal, that innocence and wisdom are not opposites, but reflections of the same truth expressed at different points in life's circle. The woman with a mature soul becomes a living bridge between the laughter of the young and the quiet strength of the old, embodying Jung's words, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." Her life is an awakening to the reality that the most powerful lessons often come not from the noise of the world, but from the voices of those societies that often overlook the purity of children and the depth of elders. And in her ability to honor both, she shows us the essence of spiritual wisdom, teaching us, that the soul itself is ageless, timeless, and forever awake. 9. Spiritual orientation. Her spirituality is never confined by dogma or rigid structures, because for her, faith is not a checklist of rules, but a living, breathing experience that flows through every part of her being. She draws wisdom from many traditions, blending insights from ancient philosophies, sacred texts, and personal experience into a way of life that honors the sacred in everything. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." And her life reflects this truth perfectly, for she does not chase external validation, but instead turns inward, finding clarity and strength in her own soul. This orientation makes her presence magnetic. She carries an aura of peace that speaks louder than words, showing that true spirituality is not proclaimed but lived. You may notice it when you meet such a woman, the way she listens to you with complete attention, the way she finds meaning in preparing a simple meal, or how she walks through a crowded city yet remains centered, like a calm river flowing through chaos. These qualities are not random. They are the fruit of long years of spiritual growth, of choosing again and again to see life itself as her temple. She does not limit herself to one path, because she knows truth cannot be caged. Instead, she sees every culture, every teaching, and every challenge as another chance to learn and to expand. In her, you will not find judgment or arrogance, but compassion, acceptance, and the ability to see the divine spark in everyone she meets. This is why her spirituality feels so authentic, because it is woven into her ordinary moments. When she wakes to the sunrise, she breathes in gratitude. When she faces hardship, she turns it into a lesson rather than a wound. When she speaks, her words carry weight, not because they are loud, but because they are rooted in experience. Spirituality is not about following rules handed down by others, but about awakening to the sacred that is already around and within you. Spiritual growth does not make you separate from life, but draws you deeper into it, allowing you to see beauty even in the mundane, to remain steady even in storms, and to love without conditions. Ask yourself now, how can you make your life a sacred practice? Can you see your morning coffee as a ritual of gratitude, your walk as meditation, or your relationships as opportunities to honor the divine spark in others? For this is the quiet secret of mature souls. They live each day as both student and teacher, and through their presence, remind you that enlightenment is not hidden in distant mountains, but revealed in the simplicity of living with awareness, reverence, and love. If you've connected with this message about spiritual orientation, comment below, "I walk with spirit." Your voice helps us grow together. 10. Depth in the eyes. Her gaze carries a depth that cannot be taught, for within it lives the wisdom of experiences embraced, shadows integrated, and truths that many spend a lifetime avoiding. When you meet her eyes, it feels as if time slows, as if the noise of the world fades, and suddenly you are no longer just looking at a woman. You are looking into a mirror that reflects your hidden battles, your silent victories, and the corners of your soul you often keep concealed. It is why some find her presence unsettling, while others find it healing, because being seen in this way is to be recognized beyond masks and appearances, beyond roles and achievements, at the level of spirit itself. Carl Jung spoke of the soul's journey toward wholeness, reminding us that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And in her gaze, you can feel the truth of that, because she does not turn away from darkness. She has embraced it, transformed it, and now carries it as quiet power in her eyes. Men who encounter such a woman often describe the sensation as if her eyes hold 1,000 stories, not just of this life, but of many lifetimes, as though she is connected to something ancient and unshakable. There is no need for her to explain, because her eyes speak a silent language of endurance, compassion, and understanding that words can never fully capture. You sense in her a kind of timelessness, the mark of someone who has walked through pain and beauty alike, and who has allowed those experiences to carve wisdom into her very being. When she looks at you, it is not a casual glance, but a quiet invitation to drop the armor, to let go of the noise, to face the truth of who you are and who you might become. In the modern world, where attention is scattered and connections are often shallow, her gaze feels like an anchor. It pulls you out of the endless chase for more success, more possessions, more distractions, and brings you back to yourself. There is an almost spiritual gravity in her presence, a reminder that life is not only about the external, but about the inner landscapes that shape everything we do. It is no accident that such women are rare, because to reach this level of maturity requires courage, patience, and a willingness to embrace solitude, to face heartbreak, to grow from wounds instead of hiding them. Her eyes reveal not only her own journey, but also awaken within you a call to begin or deepen your own. To be looked at by her is to stand before a living embodiment of spirituality and spiritual awakening, for she carries in her gaze the balance of shadow and light, the weight of silence and the promise of truth. Some men recoil from it because they are not ready to be seen in such fullness, while others are drawn closer, finding comfort in being recognized without judgment. But for anyone who dares to meet her gaze fully, it becomes a transformative experience, one that stirs the soul and reminds you that the deepest connections are not formed through words, but through presence, honesty, and the courage to look both outward and inward without turning away. 11. Strong intuition. Her intuition is not just a passing feeling, but a deep inner compass that guides her through life with clarity and strength, often more accurately than logic itself. While the world around her hesitates, doubts, or calculates endlessly, she trusts this inner voice that speaks from beyond reason, and time and again it proves to be right. Carl Jung once said, "Intuition is perception via the unconscious," and this truth describes her perfectly, because her knowing does not come only from her personal experience, but from a vast reservoir of spiritual wisdom connected to the collective unconscious. It is why she can step onto paths others avoid, make choices that seem irrational to the outside world, and yet watch those very choices unfold into profound correctness. In everyday situations, this gift reveals itself clearly. She may feel a quiet certainty about which relationship nurtures her soul and which drains her, about when to move toward a new opportunity or when to close a chapter, about which people to trust even before they show their true colors. Others may spend days analyzing every possible option, but she simply listens within, and her intuition delivers guidance that logic cannot match. It does not mean she is never questioned or doubted, but even in the face of skepticism, she understands that betraying her intuition would be betraying her very essence. This trust is not arrogance, but alignment, born of many experiences where her inner knowing saved her from mistakes others fell into. Carl Jung described such souls as bearers of echoes of ancestral wisdom, archetypes, and timeless truths, and her intuition is nothing less than that wisdom rising into consciousness. Albert Einstein captured this balance when he said, "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. She honors reason, yet she never lets it silence the sacred gift of her intuition. And it is this balance that gives her presence an aura of depth and power, as though she sees through layers of reality others cannot." Everyone has felt the sting of ignoring intuition, trusting someone who later betrayed you, staying in a situation that drained your spirit, or walking down a path you knew deep down was wrong. The mature soul has lived these lessons too, but unlike most, she quickly learns to refine her listening. Each experience strengthens her trust in that still voice within, until her faith in it becomes unshakable. Spiritual awakening has taught her that the universe whispers first, and only when you ignore the whispers does it shout through chaos and pain. That is why she listens early, avoids unnecessary suffering, and walks a path aligned with her destiny. Strong intuition is the sign that defines her essence and sets her apart. It is the silent language of her soul, the channel through which spiritual wisdom flows, and the force that gives her direction even in times of uncertainty. Carl Jung reminded us, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The woman with a mature soul has already begun this work. She listens, she trusts, she transforms intuition into awareness, and awareness into strength. This is why, though her life may not be free of challenges, it always carries a depth, a meaning, and a spiritual power that cannot be shaken. 12. Penetrating understanding of human nature. A woman with a mature soul carries within her a rare gift, a penetrating understanding of human nature that allows her to see beyond appearances and into the hidden truths that others conceal. She notices what most overlook: the quiet sorrow behind a smile, the insecurity masked by confidence, the anger that hides unhealed wounds. This clarity becomes her protection, for she is not easily deceived, yet it also makes her heart softer, for she understands that beneath every mask lies a story of pain. Carl Jung once observed, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." Through her inner awakening, she develops the ability to awaken compassion rather than judgment, choosing to respond with empathy where others might condemn. Yet this extraordinary vision often leads her into a kind of sacred loneliness. While the world thrives on facades and superficial connections, her soul hungers for authenticity, for depth, for honesty that few are ready to give. She can be surrounded by people and still feel a distance, as though she is tuned into a frequency no one else hears. But instead of being a burden, this solitude becomes the soil where spirituality grows stronger. In silence, she learns to embrace her own depth, to anchor herself in divine truth, and to walk through life with a heart that understands without needing words. Her loneliness transforms into strength, reminding her that spiritual growth sometimes requires walking paths that others fear to tread. In the modern world, you may have seen her without realizing it. She is the colleague who senses the unspoken tension in a meeting, the friend who notices the weariness in your eyes before you admit it, the quiet presence who offers a kind word that soothes wounds you never shared aloud. People call it intuition, a sixth sense, but it is truly the wisdom of a soul that listens beyond what is spoken. Her insight is invisible yet undeniable, shaping her actions and creating ripples of healing wherever she goes. This is not a gift meant to expose others. It is a sacred responsibility to nurture, to guide, and to protect. The deeper lesson is that when you cultivate your own spiritual growth, you begin to see life differently too. You stop being fooled by appearances and start recognizing the humanity behind every facade. You learn that your gift of perception is not for judgment, but for understanding, not for superiority, but for service. As Rumi said, the wound is the place where the light enters you. Just as she sees the hidden wounds of others, she has learned to embrace her own pain as the doorway to wisdom. She carries the scars of experience, but instead of bitterness, she radiates compassion. To walk with such awareness is to live with both burden and blessing. For true maturity of the soul means seeing clearly while choosing to love anyway. A woman with this gift knows that her insight is not meant to isolate her, but to illuminate the path for others. She reminds us all that behind every mask, there is a heart longing to be understood, and behind every facade, there is a soul searching for healing. Her very presence teaches us that spirituality is not about escaping the world, but about entering it with eyes wide open, with the courage to see, and with the compassion to heal. If this insight into human nature resonates with you, affirm your wisdom by commenting below, "I see beyond the surface." Your words may inspire others to look deeper into the truth of who we are. As we've explored today, Carl Jung reminds us that the presence of a mature soul shines through in unique ways, whether it's wisdom that transcends age, compassion that touches others deeply, or the ability to see life with clarity and grace. These 12 signs are not just traits to recognize in others, but principles we can all strive to embody for our own growth and fulfillment. By embracing these qualities, you invite more peace, purpose, and happiness into your daily life. Which of these signs resonated with you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your experiences. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss insights that inspire your journey.